Well, I think things are getting a little better, but they're still not to where I want them to be as far as my hitting is concerned. It's still not there. I still don't feel real comfortable at the plate the way I should. I think it's getting there. It's just taking me a little longer than I thought it would. I'm starting to swing the bat a little bit, but when I start getting 2 and 3 hits a day for about a month, then I'll say I'm satisfied.
Well, you were the player's rep, and of course you didn't get to do much work during the strike. Did that have any effect with your batting coming into focus?
The first couple of weeks after the strike, it affected me, but not now. I can't use that as an excuse any longer. I'm just in one of those, I've been in one of those slumps where it's just one of those things I couldn't get out of. I got into bad habits, and they're very hard to break. But now I feel like I'm starting to concentrate a little more and get out of them, and it just takes time. I hope it comes around soon.
There's no need to dwell on it, but are there any things, any good luck omens you believe in, or do you make many changes at the bat?
No, I can't do that. I've used the same style for the last 11 and a half years, and it's kept me up here, so I don't try to change anything. I just try to perfect what perfect and get back around to what I do best, and that's hit the ball hard up the middle, not try to pull too much, get good balls to hit. I always get a lot of bases on balls, and I'm the type of hitter. I'm not a bad ball hitter. I got to get a good ball to hit, and the only thing is that when I get a good ball to hit, I've got to hit it. And lately, I've either been fouling it off, swinging and missing it, or taking it. And this is not my style. I've got to swing the bat.
We of the Chamber are particularly interested and excited about this new facility because it will definitely enhance our position as a convention city. We can now bid on much larger conventions than ever before, knowing that those who come to our city will be treated to first-class, luxurious service.
He makes a tremendous imprint and impression as far as numbers go, as far as fervor goes, as far as the evangelical thrust goes, but in terms of actually making a positive change where people must live on a day-to-day basis, it leaves much to be desired. The real challenge now, in my opinion, is not so much what we come out and say, it's what we do.
We're not anticipating any trouble, but if there is, we would like to have them there just in the possibility of this, in case there was...
as witnesses.
As witnesses to any problems there would be. We will have a police escort, and if it's just heckling, well, we're used to that, so that won't bother us.
If you haven't heard that sound lately, it's probably because you've given up on finding a place where they still make old-fashioned ice cream sodas. Well, believe it or not, there's still a couple of places left in Dallas where you can get one of these, and one of them is at the fountain of the Highland Park Pharmacy over here on Knox Street. This old fountain's been doing business since 1923. 49 years of dishing out sodas and banana splits and sandwiches that run the gamut of emotions from goose liver to pimento cheese. Back behind the counter is a man who's probably Dallas' oldest soda jerk. He's 64-year-old Charlie Day, and he manages to feed about 300 people daily. Charlie, what's the strangest soda anybody ever asked you to make?
Well, I guess the strangest one was a blueberry soda, but I kind of think that they were kind of putting me on or pulling my leg, because I never heard of a blueberry soda, which probably in certain areas of the country, well, they may make a blueberry soda, but that's the only one I ever heard of or was asked for.
You don't make blueberry here?
No, we don't make blueberry sodas here.
Charlie, you do a pretty big business. Have you ever thought of modernizing or speeding up the way you make your sandwiches?
Yes, we did. Several years ago, we started to modernize and fix up, and somewhere or another we just let it get by, you know, and then now, since time and age has kind of slipped up on us, well,
are you thinking about retiring?
No, I'm not thinking about retiring.
Well, about this time, somebody called out for a chocolate soda, and Charlie had to get back to work. So as we began to pack up our cameras and leave for the day, I wondered if the man who wrote "The Times They Are A-Changin' ever made it over here to the Highland Park Pharmacy to slurp on one of Charlie Day's sodas. For Channel 8 News on the Move, this is Arch Campbell.
The recent arrests in the bail bond investigation in Dallas have been called just the tip of an iceberg. Reliable sources at the county courthouse say that the bail bond situation in Dallas is a can of worms that's costing the county thousands of dollars and cheating ignorant prisoners. Now, how does the county lose money? Administration, the money lost from bonds has increased 6 times over the last year of Sheriff Bill Decker's term. Why, we don't know. But in subsequent reports, Channel 8 News will explore that question and other aspects of the bail bond problem in Dallas. Martha McIntire, Channel 8 News on the Move.
Other than what we have read in the newspapers, we've had no information forthcoming from the U.S. Attorney's Office as to where or how they got their information. We do know, as the affidavits filed today, that there's very, very solid evidence that my office telephone in O'Dwyer and Bernstein in New York City has been under electronic surveillance for quite some time.
When a prisoner fails to show up for his trial, his bondsman has to pay the county a bond forfeiture, and the sheriff's office is in charge of collecting that forfeiture. What the sheriff does not collect comes out of the taxpayers' pockets. Now, that cabinet is full of bond forfeitures that haven't been collected. The county records show that in 1971, Sheriff Clarence Jones' deputies were unable to collect almost 400 bond forfeitures. That means a loss of $37,000 to the county. This year, after only 5 months, uncollected forfeitures have already mounted up to $33,000.
You people acting as Mr. Tierney's attorneys, do you know of any activity he has with the IRA or any group in the Northern Republic of Ireland?
Yes, we would say that as long as the United States Attorney from Washington has represented that he would be investigating something like that, that he would be the one that could best give some sort of answer like that, that any dealings that we have with Mr. Tierney are on a professional basis, and we wouldn't feel free to comment on his activities with you at this time.
I see then, in light of today's proceedings, that is, Mr. Tierney being held in contempt, what actions are you going to take now?
I guess our first action, Frank and Doris, would be to go to the emergency judge for the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals and hope that he would set some sort of bond. And so we'll take an appeal from His Honor's ruling here of about 10 minutes ago in accordance with the standard procedures here in this circuit.
Okay, acting as his attorneys, do you plan any federal suits or anything concerning the wiretapping that you said might have gone on in the case?
We haven't had a chance to discuss that yet. We've been too busy representing Mr. Tierney before this grand jury.
But if the decision from the Supreme Court, which we heard about yesterday in the wiretapping case, is as broad as the papers indicate already, and of course we'd have to have an opportunity to examine the decision in depth, then it indicates that what the government has been doing under this administration for the past 3 or 4 years is indeed now, and quite definitively, a federal crime, and the subject not only of possible prosecution for criminal activity, but civil suit for damages as well, isn't that right?
Yes, it's clearly covered by the statute. I believe it's a $100 a day fine for anybody who violates the statute. And it has been held that these illegal surveillances by the government violate the statute.
And do you feel that Mr. Tierney's line was tapped by the government?
Mr. Durkin.
Well,
Channel 8 News on the Move, Fort Worth. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. All right. You'll see a lot more of me, I'm sure. All right.
This much has been learned, but little more. Kenneth Tierney is a physiotherapist from New York State. He was apparently asked questions yesterday about the purchase of guns in the North Texas area for use by the IRA. He refused to answer any questions except to repeatedly demand the right to confer with his lawyers. His lawyers are also from New York. They are Frank Durkin, Doris Peterson, and William Cunningham. Today, Tierney was charged with contempt of court by Judge Leo Brewster, who demanded that the hearing not be turned into what he called another Angela Davis trial. A 3-day jail sentence and fines of $100 per day for the violation was imposed, then later countermanded by Judge Brewster for contempt of court. For a time, Tierney took the tack of answering each question by reading a line or two from a book of quotations by George Washington, saying to the panel, "As your first president would have said," and then reading some generally topical Washington comment from history. Tierney has not revealed much of anything thus far. His lawyers have revealed even less, saying they didn't even know the nature of the grand jury inquiry until they read it this morning in the Dallas Morning